Okay, well, it's 6:30.
One of the things
So
we
we're
just
gonna start this meeting of the select board.
I realized how much land we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Et cetera.
Well, your information, the meeting is going to start soon. Like now.
I don't realize it.
Okay, we're at the meeting starting. And I know there's all kinds of fun things to talk about. There's no question about that. But we have to take our turns. Okay. I get to read my own statement. Eric has his on his computer. I'm still paper bound, shall we say. In an effort to make the meeting more effective and efficient, the select board has made a change to public comment. Citizens or other wish to address the select board during meeting can do so during the public portion. That still is, public to be heard is still for things that are not on the agenda. And, typically there are going to be items that, we are not going to take public comment on, but those we've decided that there's certain ones during the evening that it makes sense to have public comment, and that would be, in this case, residents of Lafayette Drive. They're here to talk. And we certainly want people to talk about the budget and have comments on that. We have the conservation easement, even though the people have voted for that over the years, it's worthwhile having a public discussion, what it gets used for. And then comments are limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and all speakers will be heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. For participants on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please only use the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio, or you can't raise your hand for things of that nature. Please don't comment or question in the chat as it's distracting for all. One, because I can't even see it, so. I have to keep asking, so that kind of breaks the flow up. And the intent of this new policy is not to stifle community input, but rather allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in work. And you're always welcome to, email or call us at any time with feedback or questions. We're very public people. Thank you very much. So to start, we're going to public to be heard. Is there anybody to speak either online or in here that is not on the agenda? Okay, I don't see anything, so we'll move on with the.
I have a thing to, I'm gonna read it into the record, but I told Bob DeVos that I would bring this up under.
I thought we discussed that we were gonna bring it up at a regular meeting, talk about what we were going to do with it. But that was the Lafayette Drive. Yeah, but we also mentioned that Bob, we were gonna talk about, whether we put it in a ballot item or not. Gonna work on the possible fund.
Right,
The fund, not a ballot item. My understanding was.
But, yeah, that probably needs to be voted on rather than, in terms of how we're going to handle it in the future. But, okay, so.
I just thought, well, I'll put his comment into public record.
That's a good idea. Put his comment, yeah.
And then we can talk about what to do with it. So I'm just gonna summarize it, that he is asking for his proposal, for creating what I'm gonna call an infrastructure, emergency infrastructure fund, into the town budget. Or if we're not gonna put it in the town budget, if we will put it as a ballot item for voters to vote on. And he then made a lot of similar points about the small amount of money he's asking for, or that his group is asking for, and really there's a reasonable expectation of the board to support the community in that kind of way. And just to recap, we had talked about that conversation sort of got divided into the request from Bob for help with their situation as a separate issue from the idea of an infrastructure support emergency fund, which could be put into the budget for this coming year. And I thought that since it was a budget thing and the budget things are all public, that we could just tell Paula, yeah, go ahead and put that, nothing's decided. We're just sort of moving forward and putting things in the budget, and then when we look at where we're at, it's like, okay, so we need to start pulling back on stuff. But if you think that we need to warn that or
I think it probably warrants being an actual agenda item when we're actually talking about, when we have our budget, discussions. Because we may find out that it's better to put that as a ballot item because it needs to be, because the decision was, you needed to discuss it as a broader item rather than just, like Bob's thing. Because there may be other reasons why people might need that fund.
Well, yeah, I think the question before us is not announcing that we are talking about it. We should maybe not do this right now.
That's
but
right.
The issue isn't the money for Bob. The issue is this idea of the board creating a fund
Yes,
as a reserve fund for people who have emergencies.
and I think that's worthwhile, speaking as
That's
a,
its own-
it's an old topic, it's a
Okay.
budget item.
Great.
Because that way there could be more comment,
For Polly,
because we can't really do anything on
put that
something,
into one of the budget meetings whenever they have.
because we can't actually have an action item that's in public to be heard. Yes,
On this topic, I think other towns do have this. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there are several towns we found out last week, our last meeting, that was Google. All right,
Localminutes.org, just to be clear. not Google.
sorry.
Credit where credit is due.
That's right, that is a nice local company.
Great research.
Yep. All right, are there any other comments that are not on the agenda? Seeing nobody's hand, we're going to move on to, I understand Tom is going to speak about this, and it's review and consider approval of the conservation easement of $20,000 from the Conservation Reserve Fund to conserve 100 acres to the Rawson Farm.
Happy to talk to that. We also have guests from the Vermont Land Trust, Al Conrance and Libby Strong from the JULT. So just to be brief, the commission voted last month on the scoring rubric that we've adopted as a town for how to evaluate these CRF applications. And the commission reviewed these in our October meeting and came away with a unanimous decision to strongly encourage the board to approve a request for a $20,000 bridging funding. And I'm happy to approve the rubric scores if you want to go that granular with it.
I don't think we need to go as granular, but I think it'd be good to talk about it because we have two new select board members.
Right. So
Yeah.
So there are four criteria that these applications get scored on. General is number one, natural resource protection criteria, agricultural land protection, and then historical landmarks and buildings, et cetera, is the fourth one. So the Rawson Farm Conservation Easement project fell into judgeable categories under general, natural resource, and ag protection parameters. And I can go through where we found the strongest qualifications for the funding. If you want to hear those.
Anybody want to hear? You want to hear it? You want to hear them?
I would briefly.
Okay, so this project would and again, these criteria are something that some of you select board members sat in on the adoption of those. Wayne Howe was one, and maybe it was Tim Nolte. Certainly
Catherine.
was Catherine. So the project would permanently protect an area that has both scenic, agriculture, resource, and historic preservation parameters. It yields a clear and sustainable benefit to Jericho residents by virtue of both the cultural protection as well as a scenic value protection. It also helps meet the Jericho Town Plan goals of stewarding a resilient community, which is on page 13 of that part of the town plan. And it also expands on existing protective resources that the town of Jericho has already funded in the Davis Farm project from last year. And in addition, it also paves the way for the next step in preserving this working farm, and that's because a fair portion of the farm is also located in Underhill. And with the initial effort to protect the 100 acres that is in the Jericho boundary, it would pave the way for supporting efforts to get funding to conserve the rest of the farm. And I'm sure that Al or Libby can talk to that point after me. And then also under general criteria, it also leverages nearly $700,000 in outside funding. So the JULT is asking for $20,000 from the Jericho CRF, with another sizable chunk coming from other sources. So our group thought that under general criteria, this project scores quite high, almost 100% in terms of the scoring rubric that we use. Next comes natural resource protection criteria. The first portion of this that was significant was the 100 acres also includes two acres of mapped wetlands. So that's positive. In addition, there's 12 acres of forested land that serves as a corridor linkage to the forests that are in the Underhill portion of the farm. So forest and wildlife habitat connectivity is one of the aims of using the CRF fund to preserve significant natural resources. And pretty much the entire farm is meadow and pasture, which is an additional criterion under natural resources protection. And then finally, for any of you who ever get to drive down Sibley Hill Road in the fall or whatever, it's a $1 million scenic view from Sibley Hill Road toward Mount Mansfield. The third area in which the farm easement project scores highly is under agricultural resource protection. 48% of the acreage in the Jericho portion of the property is statewide significant agricultural soils. And in addition, this is a working farm. So all the buildings are in good repair and in usable condition. And the intent, of course, is to allow Burton Rawson to continue being a successful dairy farmer with the added advantage that being right down the road from the Davis farm and being in the position to provide fresh milk daily to the community, to employ farm workers, and also to maintain that connection with agricultural products and machinery repairs, that whole infrastructure that goes with having working farms in the area. So that's, in a nutshell, why we scored it very highly under agricultural protection. We did not evaluate the project in terms of historical preservation. It is a farm that dates back to the early 1800s. So, I mean, the buildings and the culture, there is some historical significance there, but we didn't score under our rubric for that one.
Are there any comments from the public on this? Any questions from the select board?
I'm familiar with.
So then we
With
need,
I'm unfamiliar with the fund. Do we have the money or will we
Yes.
put it in the budget for next year?
no, it's a fund that is a actual millage that is taken every year that the public has voted on to it was quite, gosh, 20 years ago, that, because we had an open space fund and we were erratic about putting money back and forth in it, but it was used for this kind of purpose. But then the Conservation Committee came to us and we put it for the voters to put a mill, a certain taxable amount every year away in the open space fund. So there is money in there.
How much was in there?
Close to 30,000.
Annual.
We haven't given out any this year, so.
Not any this year at all. Last year, there was the, we,
65,000 for the Davis project.
yeah. And then there's, the year before, I guess it was the, farm and Creek.
Oh, at Farm Upstream, right?
Trying to protect the last of the active farms in the community.
And I'm unfamiliar with the process. Is it fairly standard that there's not recreational access like the Davis Farm?
That is a criterion that is listed under general, but this particular project does not include any provide public access to some adjoining recreational event like fishing on the river or hunting, that kind of thing.
Fact is, the other ones really didn't have that much either, like farm upstream.
Only the mobs project really satisfied that particular parameter.
Yeah, I'm Al Carnes, Vermont Land Trust. I've been working with Burton on 3 years or more. But I just wanted to add what Tom was saying, on the public access piece. As Vermont Land Trust, we definitely look at that. That's one of the things that we're trying to make happen if we can, connect trails and things of that sort. I mean, on a farm project, it's hard, it's difficult. You've got, Burton's got all his cattle out there grazing but that's one thing we really try to push for. So not on this project particularly. Yep.
So if this all goes forward and all gets executed, then that property is then the Jericho portion, or all of it?
Jericho.
Okay, is then put into land trust ownership?
Not ownership, just
Oversight.
the easement is held by the land trust. Burton Rawson still owns his property, but he owns it with that easement in place. That would basically prevent any further subdivision or other non-ag development.
And so it's protected
In perpetuity.
forever, forever means.
Analogous to what the farm upstream arrangement
Right,
is, yeah.
stays in agricultural use, even if Burton Rawson.
Yes, as ownership, yeah.
And what if well, I'm going back at some point, what happens when he is no longer there to own the property?
At some point, the ownership would change hands and it would be incumbent on the new owner
Well,
to either lease it or.
The easement stays, the new owner has to live with those restrictions.
Right. So they can say, okay, we're not gonna farm it anymore, but we can't do anything else with it.
Well, and we also have an option to purchase the property when it comes up for sale. Sometimes the Vermont Land Trust exercises that option and tries to put another farmer in place on that property. So it gives us a mechanism or an option.
To get a
Yeah,
farm.
I mean, let's say that Burton is, none of us are gonna be there forever. Burton is in his 70s. He's just, had his tractor accident with a leg. He's got a prosthesis now. So he's like any farmer is struggling these days, but we've actually had some interest in other people. I mean, he has a nephew who wants to put some cattle on the property. So if he were to actually sell it to the nephew would have to understand that this is a protected piece of land.
You're not gonna flip it for.
Exactly.
I mean, particularly since it's such an incredible scenic view, that could be very high cost development.
Beautiful.
I think it's also significant note that this is a one-time draw on our town fund. That that this, mainly the 20,000 is for covering the administrative costs. And so, nobody's gonna be coming back in a year or two and saying, yeah, we really could use another
Another
20 or whatever, yeah.
Right.
Where does the 700,000 come from, the outside sources?
Mainly from the Vermont Housing and Conservation Trust Fund.
Yeah, it's a mix. We get some USDA federal funding. Vermont's been pretty successful at accessing, and hopefully, we just heard the federal funding is not being snatched away from Vermont for farmland conservation. So that was good news just yesterday since they got back, since they got back to work. But no, it's a mix, as Tom said, of the Vermont Housing Conservation Board, which is our primary funder for all kinds of conservation across the state. And then we leverage that money with the federal money, and with town money. And to me, you could say, well, the fundraising from Liddy. So it's a combination of funding, and the town piece really helps leverage that state and federal money. So when I have a project like the Rawson property, and I can say, well, this is really important because the town's putting in, we're getting local fundraising, and it kind of pushes it along. So I want to commend not every town that I work in. I work up and down the Champlain Valley. Not every town has a fund like this, and it's pretty special.
It is,
And it really helps us move those projects along.
right?
I make a motion to approve the conservation easement of $20,000 for the conservation reserve fund, from the conservation reserve fund to conserve 100 acres of the Rawson farm.
All those in favor, say aye. The motion passes. Thank you very much for your efforts.
All right. I'm not gonna stay for the paving on Lafayette.
Is the office open next week?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
But it's nice to, we only have two working dairy farms in Jericho and.
Right. Yes, we hope to continue with the Underhill. We will come back to add our Underhill.
No, good to have.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Next, residents of Lafayette Drive paving issues. Who is going to be the spokesperson?
Well, there was,
We assume you're all going to support, but
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Can I just ask a general, I've got some general questions.
could you please state your name for the record?
James Clark, 9 Lafayette Drive. One of my main questions is this project complete, signed off?
It's completed, but it's not signed off yet.
Okay.
It's from my understanding. Jacob should be here. He should be here by 7. So, but as far as I know, it's not signed off yet.
Okay.
Signed off mean, like, great,
they're
your work is done, here's your check, we're happy.
Yeah.
Contract fulfilled.
Right.
Okay. My next question is, has someone physically inspected the whole horseshoe street?
I don't know
Okay,
if that's, I know Jacob has gone over there, but I don't know if the contractor has.
okay. Who does sign off?
So it would be Jacob.
Okay, is there a contract work inspector? Or is what would be a contract work inspector?
I'd have to look at the contract that was signed by them. We had our engineer come in and do when the bids came in, and he was the one that went through all of the bids. So
Yeah.
I would assume that there is, because he's really good about doing
Okay.
that. So, but those are good questions that we can
Okay.
certainly ask.
All right. I do not have any measurements, but I think the surface of the road is now somewhat higher than it was originally. The original road, I've lived there ever since it was paved and before, drained very nicely. And now, if we get a real good rain or a real quick thaw, there are many people that are going to have puddles where there never were. So those are just my general questions. I'm glad that if it hasn't been signed off, I'm glad it hasn't, because I would not, agree with it at all.
Thank you.
Rita Dupree, 30 Lafayette Drive. So yeah, it looks nice when you drive through the little horseshoe, new pavement, it's great. So a lot of issues. When they ground it up, they didn't spit the tar out. It got ground into the dirt, whatever the underneath part is, with the dirt. So when they were done, it was the same level as what the road was when it was paved. So the original height. And they used like this, it cut like to the grass on my side and to the grass on the other side. So that was the width of the road. When it came to paving, they came up the hill, which was great. When they, around the first house, they paved right to my lawn. So there's no shoulder. Do you have a shoulder on both sides? So mine has no shoulder. Across the road has like 2 or 2.5 feet. So now the mailman who used to drive on the tar, no longer drives on the tar. He's driving on this crushed whatever they put on the side of the road. On my side of the road, oh, they put some crushed stuff, but now it's on my lawn, a foot of it. Which it should have been, I guess they didn't center it once they got to the top of the hill, because coming up, you got like a ditch on both sides. I'm not sure how they did it, but when they got up, the whole inside of the horseshoe went right to everybody's lawn. And the other side has this wide shoulder all the way across. So that was one issue. The other one is when they came to our place, like I said, it was level. I had no problem with that driveway. Then they put 5 inches of tar. So now we have an SUV. We had a 10-inch square. We now have 2 coming in and coming out. So that's an issue that needs to be resolved. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they did do their apron, that little piece that comes down. They started sloping good, and then they just chopped it right off and just kind of patted the edge. So it kind of, yeah. So it is an issue with the vehicle. Well, not ours specifically, but a car is a big problem.
Not for you, because your car, because you're about clearance.
Now we get,
That has a 10-inch.
but that's empty with nobody in it and no
It's
groceries or whatever.
With passengers in there, because I know it's gonna tap, because when you load 5 passengers, it's gonna go down 1.5 inches, 2 inch.
And then when we pull our pop-up camper, pretty sure there's gonna be an issue there.
When we backed out, we had,
Excuse me, we need your name for the record as well.
Gay Dupree, I live on 30 Lafayette Drive, she's my wife.
Yeah.
So,
She can't tell who you are.
Gotcha. So, and when they inspect the road, it's nice to drive through, but they really need to inspect everybody's driveway. I know they're not here, those people, but if I had a dirt driveway right now, you're dropping off 5 inches to get into the driveway. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. When you do the horseshoe across, they probably get 8 to 10 inches of tar. And then it sits down to the opposite side of the corner, which has maybe this much. There's one spot right before the cedar hedges, 3 feet around. It's already cracking because they put it very thin there. I don't know, how they do this or whatever. The other problem is coming up the hill. We have a beautiful ditch on the right. Not sure why we've only been here 1.5 years, so this is all kind of new to us, but right before the first driveway on the right, Mick, there was a big hole there that I would call get it patched. They do like a hot patch or whatever last year, because it was big. It would rain, it would wash it out, go across the road and onto our lawn, which wasn't a big deal to me, but that hole was terrible. Now we have new pavement. The same thing is going to happen. It's going to eat that pavement away. So I think that ditch that goes 3/4 up the hill should have continued right to that first driveway. I don't know why they would have only gone 3/4 of the way up. It's a nice deep ditch, but then it's kind of solid the first third of it. So the water has nowhere to go. So that ditch should be continued up.
Because it's gonna wash up again, because
Same spot.
when the school bus drove up last year, they had to stay on the left side, which is not a good idea because you.
The hole was,
People, people living there know that watch out because when you're coming down that hill, you gotta be sure you slow down so you don't, because somebody else has to move over. You're gonna have the same issue probably,
on the new tire, because it's
Next
just
spring.
gonna wash it all out again.
you know, water's gotta go somewhere.
Thank you.
And for me, if you have 5 inch of tire on top of what's already there, you don't put a 1 foot apron. You extend it 4 or 5 feet. So then when I back up in my car, I'm driving on the apron, not to my old driveway. And then I've got this, what I call a
Speed bumps.
7 to 8 inch speed bump. That's the problem. They didn't go out far enough with the aprons. And some of the drivers around you, if you, whoever walks around will see, anyone that had a dirt driveway, not paved. They left it, they didn't even put an apron, they didn't even fill it up with dirt when they went around the second time with dirt. They just left them nice and square. So, anyway,
And the shoulder would have helped too. They would have been a push shoulder than that leaning.
and that's the whole idea is whoever was paving it went a foot and a half on our side of the road instead of leaving it where exactly where it was. That's all I have.
Hi, Jeff Guyette, 8 Lafayette Drive. I spoke last time we were here during public comments. And at the time, Eric had asked what our ask was of this. And I think, like Jim, I've been on the street for just a tad over 20 years. So I remember when it was dirt and then it was paved, and we were very excited about that. And the road was great for that period of time. It's been degrading substantially over the last several years, as Guyton and Rita just mentioned. The downhill section, as they talked about that, the large gutter or the trench on the right hand side of the road as you're going up it's definitely gonna it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna wash out. There's the water is going to erode under that section of the road. We're gonna see damage to that, which is really disappointing, seeing all of the nice work that was done, but it feels like it was poorly executed or poorly planned as far as like prepping for that a nice water channel out of that, maybe a large crushed rock like there is at the base where the new culvert was put in. As they mentioned, there was a lot of the residents from the street weren't able to come tonight. I tried to get a few other folks, but the aprons were incomplete. The soft pack that's put on the side of the road, 2-3 feet wide in many areas. We've got folks that never normally make any kind of comment going, wow, this looks really terrible. And so those folks commenting on that is actually pretty it says a lot. I think that for me the ask is, and I know we're moving into winter and there's probably not anything we're gonna be able to do about it right now, but as Jim asked about the proper inspection, if it's considered complete, we'd like to have someone come out and walk that street with us and say, is this what you really were expecting for this project to look right or look like when it's been completed and executed appropriately? Because, and I'm not an expert in this area, but I look at that street and I think that can't be what was actually expected to be the outcome of it. It doesn't look right. It looks very poor. And by the time we get the spring and the plow's been through there a bunch of times, it's going to look pretty bad. We're expecting that there's going to be sections that are just going to be already damaged, and it's certainly not going to hold up for another 20 years. So that's what I would ask. And I think the residents on the street certainly deserve that, to have someone come out, examine the street and see what can be done, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. I have, it's an odd question because I drive by it, the entrances frequently myself. I have not driven the actual road, but if you're coming from the center to the corners, looking at the road, it looks like there's like a pothole on, if you first enter that second driveway, but in my case, it would be the first driveway.
The holes.
It's the water, it's the water access.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
They have to make
Because I could see, something there, my head was kind of like, looks like a
Yeah.
pothole in the middle of the road.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. It's the water, it's the
Water access.
water supply shut off.
Yeah.
Access.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
At least they haven't left that open then.
it looks better than it used to. It looks, there was a period of time earlier in the summer where, I think it just like, one of those sections broke and like, it was just a hole.
I mean,
Just a wide open hole in the road.
when you go up the hill from the main drive to the Lafayette Drive, they did a better job there. They raised it. It used to be a hole. It was a dip there. So
They did
we
really
drove
good.
there. They did great there and they widened it. They put a longer culvert. I'll give them
Looks
credit
great.
for that. But the minute they got to our driveway, that's where somebody, whoever was paving messed up, because it was like, you don't lay 3 inch of tire, 2 or 3 inches on one spot, you get to our driveway, for whatever reason, when it goes over the hump, you got 5 inch more, of tire there for a while. That's just, I guess whoever checks it, I would like them to see if they would like to have a driver like that with a 7 to 8 inch speed bump as they back out.
So what's the process? What's the?
Well, we could, because Jacob has, we should hear from Jacob, but, but I think, there's Jacob. Because he did,
James Johnson's the
Yeah.
road foreman.
because he did go through it.
Oh, you're one of the workers?
I'm the road foreman, yes.
Okay.
You didn't do, but we contracted out.
Oh, yeah.
He worked for the town. He wasn't one of the people who get
Yeah,
paid.
right, yeah. He asked,
Charge all the
he
town
asked,
roads.
we asked him to go look.
Yep, I do notice that there are some accesses to residence driveways that are a little steeper and less gradual. However, on my drive by, I drove around, I didn't walk it, I didn't measure anything. So I don't know how, compared to our right of way, how far those aprons actually come out. And I would be happy to go and walk that and measure those. Because that ultimately could be one of the reasons they didn't carry the aprons out farther into your driveways is to be within the town's right of way. I did on my drive, there were definitely some gravel driveways that they should have carried out farther or put more material. However, some of them aren't necessarily established driveways also. It looks like people are kind of pulling off to where they're, like a double driveway.
Right.
And so I think some of that issue also arose with not 100% knowing it's a actual, somewhere where someone parks. So they didn't, pay attention to carry that out a little farther to make a little better egress for your residents to come in and out. But I would be more than happy to walk it with you guys and, definitely measure some of these areas as well.
Jacob, thank you. What's the normal process in preparation for a project like that? Do they, is there an assumption based on an established driveway, or does someone come out there and do some sort of review to say, what are the established driveways? Is it the might be paved or there's already dirt, or do they check with the landlord or the resident to say, what is the expected apron that we should be putting in there? Is that part of the process? And if it's not, why not?
So typically what they do is they try with something like Lafayette, it also looks a lot different than it did previously because the road hadn't been paved in 20 years, 30 years. So in that time, the asphalt deteriorated. So what was actually 4 inches turned into 1.5 inches, 2 inches of asphalt over the 20 to 30 years of deterioration. So now you do have some of that, like, holy cow, that looks a lot different than what it was. And I think some of that has to play into it. However, they typically try to, go back to as close to, because going from 1.5 inches to 4 inches of asphalt, there is a difference, you know what I mean? So they try to get it as close as they can. However, I do know, and this is no excuse by any means, that they kind of like everybody else, I think some of it got overlooked on Pike's behalf because of how backed up they were on other jobs. And unfortunately, that happened into Lafayette.
I wondered about that, but
Shoulder, I mean, they literally went right through our grass.
Yeah.
And now we get way too wet on the other side. So, and that would have helped if we had a shoulder as far as leading into our driveway, but
So when you guys did the quote for this, was it understood that they were gonna take the old tar and just crush it up and put it back on the road
Yes,
instead of hauling it out?
yes,
So you automatically would have, and then they slapped their tar on top of that, so you automatically, right?
yeah, so that would create a better base for the
Right,
road to be able
makes
to
sense.
last those 20 years.
But now, when they did that, they crushed it up, went around, because we were there when they did that. Then they went back with a grader and regrade the road,
Mhm.
but raised on some side raised it more than other sides. And you'll see that around the U because
it's like this thick on the
you
inside.
gotta
there.
drop off this and use it flat.
Yeah.
So when you guys plow, you're gonna, if you come off that there,
Yeah.
you're gonna have an issue there, Chief. And around the corner, on the right side, if you're coming by our place on three,
Up the hill.
right around corner across with these buildings.
Ann and Tom's.
There's like 10 feet long right now. It's all cracked, like half a quarter inch crack. So because there's only
Okay,
about
right.
maybe an inch or two of tar. So when the rain and the ice and the frost gets under that, you guys will be plowing that tar probably. I just let you know.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and I do know, with this being contracted work, also, we have a grace period of warranty. So if there is damage that is arising, from how they did it or what they have done, we have a certain amount of time that we can go back to the contractor and say that they need to come in and repair that area as well.
Cause and when they pave the
Our side.
I'm going at the side first. So when I drove around, like people were, yeah, I know, but they would have they have just put the tire in. If I would have asked, they would have let me drive right over that hot tire.
Well,
without
he
saying
did
a word.
say he wasn't a
Right.
huge disappointment.
But he should have warned people. My daughter came to pick up her grandkids. and
Didn't know if she could drop off her kids or not because.
You just stay on the main road way down the bottom. They want to know you are on your own.
The other thing that we had mentioned was the ditch coming up the hill. Why'd you only go 3/4 of the way and not all the way to the drive?
The first drive.
Because that hole that's on top of the hill, that's from water washing it out. Well, it's gonna do the same thing to the new tire.
Well, because, so any of that erosion that was there is supposed to be filled in with that shoulder material to allow for it to sheet off the road.
But why didn't they continue the ditch all the way up?
We crush rocks.
You know how you guys made a nice deep ditch? But you didn't, we're new, so,
Yeah.
I mean, so why didn't they go all the way into the first driveway?
That, it was not part of the contracted work, the replacement of the culvert or anything underneath the infrastructure was part of the contracted work.
But it might be something the town might think about is
Yes.
extending that because it's gonna, I'd hate to see that new target washed out. It's gonna, the water will go the same spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely something that should.
Thank you
like,
for
we
your,
consider.
comments. I think you, well, first, thank you, Jacob. Would you suggest that we need to have Tyler, our engineer, look at it in the spring? Because clearly, because the asphalt plant are closed and stuff, there's nothing going to be done now.
I actually have reached out to Tyler. He's, I believe today, if not, I will be back in touch with him tomorrow morning. To see, he was supposed to go in there and take a look as well. To see on his aspect of what he sees of things that need to be fixed. So that way we can start planning for what maybe need to be done in the spring.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can Pike do anything at this point, or is it too late in terms of weather for them to do anything?
Whether, it is getting too late. However, some of these driveways that are to maybe the correct standards, for a lack of a better terms, once we kind of free up a little bit, I'd be happy to go and, just the driveway so people can get in and out, and try and make those a better egress for them to get in and out of their driveways, to get through the winter. Gravel only, I can't do pavement unfortunately, but gravel, or that crushed asphalt that they used, just to get folks through the winter so then we can try and fix this in the spring.
Then is that on us, meaning town of Jericho, meaning you?
Yes,
It's not Pike.
that's not Pike.
They did what they were told to do, or put the contract
Yeah,
right away and all that.
Yeah,
So so that's gonna fall to us. But
well,
They're
unless
driveways right now.
Tyler and I explain to them how, and prove that it is not what was contracted and what was our expectation, we can have them come back and redo shoulders or add more material but I'm thinking more for the residents
For
to,
now.
for now, you know, for the town, to, you know, patch and be able to get in and out of their driveways.
I have another question for anybody that knows. At number 13 Lafayette, it's on the corner, on the outside of the horseshoe. Someone put in, it looks like fiberglass stakes with ribbons on them. Did the town do that or did the homeowner do that?
I believe the homeowner. would have
Okay,
done that.
okay,
Yeah, one of them has the metal stakes with green,
okay.
and on the other side are wooden stakes with orange. Oh my God, I hope the town doesn't think that's the side of the road, because they're gonna be screwed, because it's a drop off on both ends.
It was obvious, it was obviously done to warn somebody.
Yeah.
Don't go too far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I didn't know whether it was, the homeowner or the town, but, yeah,
yep, no, I. thank you
yeah,
for-
to tell the guys on the plow to respect those, because it's,
they're gonna be off if they go too close to that anyway.
Absolutely.
They're just gonna sink in.
Yeah.
Well, thank everyone. I mean, I hope that answers some of your questions, because we knew we couldn't do much at this time of year because the asphalt pipe plants are closed.
Right, well, we figured that out, nobody was here, it's like.
But the fact that the engineer will look at it, that's Tyler Billingsley and Jacob.
Can we be notified when they come to?
I will definitely, I can't necessarily give a day's notice. I could try and do the day of.
Sure.
But that would probably be doable, yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob, for your information as well.
Absolutely.
Do you have a way, how we will?
I have Jeff's.
Okay.
You have mine now too.
I do. Okay.
But Jeff is good about letting all
Because we have a group, we have
the
a
peeps, the
neighbor.
Lafayette peeps.
Oh, good. Okay, sure.
Kind of a.
Yeah.
Group type.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we're going to review and consider the approval of the transportation forgiveness application with support letter from the.
Right, so last select board meeting, it had to have been, the support letter had to be turned in by that Friday. So I brought the support letter in to have Eric sign that. So I'm bringing this just so that it's in the public and approved by you guys at a public meeting. And Eric signed the support letter at the last select board meeting.
Well, and then
So this is funds like
the
that.
regional planning commission had to sign a support letter as well.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
For this?
yeah, the regional planning commission has a support letter in there as well.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so just give a quick for people.
Yeah,
listening.
so this is for the Lee River Road sidewalk project. This project was started in 2017, and with past staff, it just got dropped. So we picked it back up, and there is a grant that was approved in 2017. However, now that we're in 2025, there is more additional funds that need to be requested because of the increase. We had to also go back and do a redesign because it was gonna be on the opposite side of Sunnyview. It's gonna run from Sunnyview to the stop sign at the corner of Plains and Lee River. And so we had to go back and pay for a redesign, go through the NEPA application. So all of this is, you know, where the additional funds are gonna have to go for that grant.
What we need is just a motion to accept, you know, the application so that we can send, you know, that it's official that we are looking for funding to continue this.
What the hell?
You know, to actually finish
Finish the job.
because this is not the crossroad walk. This is just to finish the actual.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, so the proposal that right now the town isn't on the hook for the increased cost, we're just looking for an additional money.
We will be. That's why we're applying for a grant. So this will subsidize that 235,000. We'll only have to pay a portion of that.
Because otherwise, if we don't do the sidewalk, we have to pay back all the money we've already used,
Right.
which would be sad. You don't want to give money back and we don't want to not have the connections.
We've
So
we've spoken to the neighbors and they're pretty much on board. We've
And
had
that's
meetings
important.
with them. Yeah,
the
very important this time around. The
Absolutely.
first time around, they were not for it.
And the state gave us this
yes.
engineer's estimate,
Mhm.
so I can't be upset about $300, $320 per hour for flaggers. Okay, so this is the state's.
Mhm.
What page you on there?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, you look at all those numbers, it's very,
There she is.
yeah, it's big numbers.
Yeah, it is.
But these, when you have a contract set out, they use, standard numbers provided by V-Trans, how much they expect things to cost.
Mhm.
So $300 an hour.
Yeah.
$260 or $90 an hour per person. Is a reasonable number.
Comes from, V-Trans.
So right now, the motion is approve the application.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Motion is already.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what it is. I make a motion to approve the transportation alternatives application. I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is review and consider approval of the purchase of an extra set of rims for the F-150.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of extra set of rims for the F-150 truck. I'd like to approve the motion to let Jacob spend the money we already told him we can spend. This infuriates.
He loves it. He just loves this.
Any seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Is that is this a statutory requirement? Like,
Yes.
can we change a rule?
Mhm.
Yep.
You
We
can.
can change the rule.
Yeah.
I would like to change.
So let's talk about that.
Mm.
Maybe the March
Mhm.
board reorganization, like
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Spend your money.
At least, yeah, I was gonna say Jacob shouldn't have to come into this, we have for highway anyways, but,
Right, that's why.
right, so it worked out well.
Yeah, right.
So next is the biggie. You're gonna start the fiscal year 27 budget discussions, starting with the highway, which is a major part of the town's.
We'll try to share this if everybody can see it, hopefully. Can everybody see this, what I have on the screen that is online? Okay, yep, I got a thumbs up, perfect. Okay. Okay, so. Let me just get to where, so what I've asked Jacob to do on this budget is. In previous years, we've really, in my opinion, squeezed out the highways budget. And so I asked him to put in what he thinks is necessary for the entire budget season, for the entire year. You will see in the top, the salaries. So the salaries, not just the overtime, it's just the salaries. That has changed because of the fact that we do have a sixth highway person that we just,
An actual human being who's
an
working
actual
here now.
human being that just got approved on Monday.
Yeah.
So his salary is in there along with the benefits. His benefits are, that's why the benefits have increased. Also, Megan's hours are included in the salaries, her 24 hours, and all of her benefits are in that line item as well. Just go down. Let's see. I know that if we wanna, I don't know if you have any particular questions on some, but the building heat, that we raised to 15,000 just because of.
You just don't know.
Yeah, we're unaware of what
Don't
building
know.
is gonna cost us.
Yeah, exactly. Everything else along, if. You have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
Professional consultant, what is that on row 157?
157. So this is for Tyler. our
Oh, okay.
town engineer. Yep. Let's see.
I guess I can kind of say
Yeah.
a different, so right about where Paula's, the mouse is right there. Supplies and tools, so it has 8, so what it was right before
Yep.
was the 18,000.
Yep.
So that everything, whether it was anything we used to operate and any tools we needed, all that was lumped together. Where now Paula and I have separated that. So now you have a little more of a understanding between the tools we need and the stuff that it takes to consistently run the town garage on a daily basis, whether it's paint or nuts and bolts and stuff. Those kinds of things can come out of there. And so separating it too, so that way we have. Sometimes it's hard, like now, to say, when we have to go buy a new drill or something like that. It comes out of that, and then along with, we have like Kimball Midwest that comes in and gets all our nuts and bolts and stuff like that. And you get a bill like that, that's $200, and then a drill's $200, and then all of a sudden everything went down $1,000 all of a sudden. And where now we can break it up and see a little clearer where money is going and why, and the needs, clarify the needs of the highway department a little
But
bit.
the supplies and tools are new
They're a
lines.
new line item,
Where was that money being spent?
small equipment.
Okay, so 8,000 came out of that,
Yeah.
came out of small equipment. And then about 22,000 went into that same line basically.
What do you buy with small equipment now? Like,
So like our compactor that we got this year, that would come out of that. If we need a new pump or a new motor for our chloride sprayer or hydro seeder, even a new motor for the compactor, say that allows us to have money in a line item to repair those things or get new ones or things along those lines.
The other interesting thing is under, line 158, building maintenance and repairs. Lots of potential new supplies. So what's the difference between that line and then?
That might be on the wrong line item.
Yeah, cause I was gonna say, because you got.
Yeah, because
You got
I had
tied under one and then you got.
Say that again?
Line 158,
Yep.
handwritten, all the potential new supplies.
Yeah,
But
that's,
there's also, we have now supplies of,
No.
is there a difference or there's
no,
wrong place?
it's in the wrong place.
Okay, so.
The handwritten notice.
Yes, it is.
And I think also, the building maintenance and repairs, I believe that increased also because now, yes, we have a new building, but there are still things that we need to maintain on the existing building. And so that allows us, and that gives us, we're not maintaining one building anymore. Now we're maintaining two, with the knowledge of that being cold storage or however. Yeah. So everything obviously in the new building will be warranted, but there's always a chance, And so then this allows us to kind of go through a year having money in that fund to repair, do maintenance repairs that were needed in the old shop or kind of see what the new shop, it gives us a buffer. I guess.
Those 4 lines, 158, 59, 60, 61. And
Those are-
maybe 60.
Those are totally different.
But those 3 lines, is it true? So I'm looking at those lines, it looks like that building maintenance and repairs and small equipment last year was 33,000. And now that group breaks out to like 47,000.
Yep.
That's a big increase.
Yes, well, like I said, in the previous years, the highway budget has really been picked,
Squeeze.
yeah.
Well, we
And
also,
so I asked him to just
What do you
put
mean?
this budget in and go with whatever you think is needed.
plus, we also didn't put much into maintenance because we were gonna build a new building.
Exactly. Yeah,
Cause normally
And
maintenance
that's
is
where-
15,000 anyway.
right.
or
Um,
more.
everything, going down, continuing, we've kept the same,
Yes.
except for salt.
My question, yes.
Yeah.
There-
Salt
It
is
went up,
amazing.
it went up a lot last year too.
Just went up $11 from last year.
Yeah. So it went from $86 a ton to $99 a ton.
Yeah,
And just before, as we started getting,
right.
we have to get the state bid. So when I got the state bid, I also reached out a couple other neighboring towns. And they had mentioned another company out of Canada, that they had used and we tried, but unfortunately they were all their salt was already spoken for, which would have even $5 less a ton helps a little bit, you know what I mean? So, but
Well,
unfortunately,
it's jumped significantly over the last few years.
Yes.
You know, at one point it was like $40.
Yeah.
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 Now it's $90.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
crazy.
and unfortunately, the smaller the storms we get, the more costly they are because you're not in a big storm, you can plow, sand your hills and corners and kind of just maintain travel for people. Where when you get a dusting of snow, you kind of have, and it stops snowing for the day, you got to salt everything. So when those
Five
are,
of those versus 1 3-day storm.
yeah. And what I've also started to do too, to try and help that as well is, something we used to do, is mix some sand in with it, especially when we know it's gonna A, keep snowing, or B, get cold. And salt doesn't typically work well, below a certain temperature. I've started mixing sand in just to have, so people feel safer on the roads and have traction as they're moving through town.
It looks like the sand price hasn't changed per ton. I'm guessing per ton it hasn't changed either.
No, and actually, with winter sand, I did switch from going to natives up in Johnson, over to Heinsberg Sand and Gravel. And I believe theirs was $1 or $2 less a ton. And I also started mixing in 5/16 stone, which is a small, like a pea stone, in with our sand to have more stone, for ice instead of before we were getting inch and a half fracture stone, and that was causing pop tires and stuff like that. We've mixed it into our sand. It's always in our sand, and it's actually $6 a ton compared to $13 a ton. So we use it to also be a filler, so that way we're still having material on the road, but it's also it's saving the town $1 or $2 here and there by mixing in every so many loads of winter sand.
Heinsberg, I would imagine, is closer than, yeah.
Yes, and
You're saving some gas.
Definitely.
yeah, and the reason I started doing that is when, last summer, when I started, what we could usually get in a 10-hour day was like 4 loads from Johnson. Of winter sand was only like 2 because of all the paving up through Route 15, up through that way. So it was not cost effective to do that. So I started switching over to Heinsberg and we could get 8 loads in a day compared to 4. So it ended up working out.
So going down further, you'll see another change, the road improvement. We broke that up.
167.
Yep, paved roads. And then underneath that, gravel roads.
It used to be like that.
Oh, it did?
Oh, yeah. 95 for, paved roads and 30 or 50 for gravel. Way back, shall we say, pre-COVID? Probably even a couple years, maybe a little earlier, but definitely in the
Okay.
20 teens, absolutely. It was always separate, the gravel was separate.
Yeah,
Why?
We even have.
What's the reasoning or?
So with having 295,000 just for paving, that depending on the quality of the road, that could do a mile of road if we have to reclaim it or cold plane it. A shimmin and overlay that could get us 4 miles or 2 miles, 3 miles. So having that allows us to do 1 to 2 miles of a year allocated by the town and to try and catch our roads up and keep them at a stable, passable, qualification where when we get our paving grants, you can get up to 200,000. So now you have 500 or 600,000 that you can use to do 4 or 5 miles of road, kind of like what Adam had done with Skunk Hollow.
Right.
And you can get a big chunk of the road, maintained.
Yeah, in fact, I think that was when we started squeezing. It was took away
Yeah.
because there used to be there was a protocol for how to maintain the gravel,
Mm-hmm.
it was a small thing. We even had a master plan for gravel roads.
I think I've seen.
And then, but for paving, it had to, it just got squeezed, everything but the other.
Going down,
For me, for the tree and brush maintenance, that I know we have a line item in the, but so it's 176.
yep,
We have a line item or had in the past a line item for emerald ash borer remediation. I'm guessing this is separate and different from that.
No, well, so our idea was to use it for that, to have that increase for that.
because we really didn't set money aside for
Yeah.
the emerald ash.
That was just like, oh, you guys will do it when you have time.
Exactly, that's
and-
why it's an increase in $10,000.
And so now we can have Brown's Trace. The bigger one for us is any of like the Brown's Trace, Skunk Hollow, Barber Farm, Lee River, any of those ones, because you have to have having flaggers and the danger of cutting those trees down with traffic moving. We can hire out a contractor to come in and remove those trees, but then it also still allows us to have a set amount, maybe $10,000 or $20,000, where we can also we have dangerous trees in town, that are leaning and stuff, where I can pick out 4 or 5, 6 of those trees and have a contractor come in and get rid of those as well. So it allows us to kind of use it and get some of these roads also cut back, but also keep, get rid of some of those dangerous trees that not necessarily we can take care of.
And then the other change is mud season gravel. We split it. So there's small stone and ditch stone. So we just split those two. It's the same amount as what we had last year, but we just split them up. And then,
Yeah, I'm well aware of those.
yeah. And then just another change was under uniform expense, we did a safety equipment. And so this is like hard hats, safety vests,
Chainsaw
goggles.
chaps, gloves,
Yeah,
earplugs, earmuffs. It can even be used for anything we might need if we need safety equipment in the new shop, such as like a non-flammable cabinet, which we have, but it gives us a space to, if we need to, something comes to an end or a lifespan, then we can replace that eye wash or anything like that. We have a line item for safety equipment to make sure the highway department is always safe.
Nice way of breaking it up.
yeah.
So it's like what I'm wearing. It's
Yeah,
sweatshirt,
pants,
and shirts
jacket.
and a jacket. First 6 guys, and then we get 10 pairs of shirts and 10 pairs of
Plus
pants.
boots. Plus boots.
Yeah.
Plus you get boots too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what goes under other purchase services?
We had that before we created the uniform line item, so realistically,
Maybe get scrapped?
it could be, right? Yeah.
Right. Could someone just walk me through what line 1 is as compared to line?
So, line 1,
highway.
don't pay attention to, because it's an Excel spreadsheet, and that line is like, it carries over, yep. And so that is right now a hypothetical number. right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hypothetically, will be 4.78%.
Right,
Even
right.
though we're up 20.
Even though.
Right, exactly,
Okay.
yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, so, yeah. Any other questions?
No, that's very nice. I mean, I think we squeezed it so much, and then the one year we took almost all the money away, and people forget, and then they
That's the
we got the back.
That's the problem. is-
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah,
now
for
we have to
sure.
go back and
Yeah,
add back things that used to be pre-COVID as well.
yeah, for sure, yeah,
Because, you know, a lot of things jumped in terms
Yeah.
of price and we
Yeah.
cut back there.
yeah, and things aren't, they're not, yeah, they're not
They're
getting
not
any
cheap
cheaper, they're definitely getting more expensive.
Absolutely.
Great.
Well, thank you for your time.
Use it all.
Oh yeah, so those are trucks, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we haven't gotten to that point in this budget because it goes, Brian puts it somewhere else, but
Yep.
purchasing trucks. So you'll see that in the budget, the work session budget, when Brian put that in, but you can.
Yeah,
talk
but
about
that's,
those.
we put the funding and the expense at the same.
So
time.
every year on our vehicle replacement plan, but we're behind 2 years?
Yeah, so with that body, I asked you guys to approve with that being 2 years out, that truck is supposed to be replaced it was supposed to be replaced this budget or this coming budget, either way. But the body is 2 years out, so the body won't be here till the summer of 2027. So with that being said, we have to.
28 budget.
So with that being said, if we purchase a truck now, once that truck comes, we have for either International or Allegiance or Charlie Boys, once that truck arrives, we have to purchase it. But that means that truck is sitting either at the town garage or at the dealership for that 1.5 to 2 years until the body is ready to be built. So my thought with the capital plan was instead of doing that, I would push that truck back so that way next budget time that truck would be purchased and kind of split it in two. Or so that way they would be purchased at the same time instead of buying one this year and buying one next year. We have the two smaller trucks which would fall into next year's budget. Is to purchase those ones. So that would be our extended cab pickup and then our single cab pickup. Our single cab pickup, I would be purchasing another F600 that we just purchased. I brought the low pro down from the low pro to be in developments because some of our developments are tight. And so this truck, the single cab it's undersized because it does like Milo White, Fields Lane, Boulder Hill. And so it's just a regular pickup with a drop-in sander in it. So you got to go back to the shop every time you go up a road, you got to go back to the shop and reload. Okay. Where this will allow you to do 2 roads or 3 roads and come back, and it'll put the sand in front of your tire and it'll be safer for the driver. And then the extended cab pickup, I would just be replacing that. And so I think
Are those equivalent to purchasing like one?
they would be equivalent or under of purchasing a tandem. And that's usually what and that's what I've been trying to do, like with the F600 and the backhoe, is a tandem truck is 300 to 400,000. So I try to stay, if we can better the town by doing 2 purchases for that price, is what I've been trying to do to kind of get us caught back up with that capital plan.
Makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Because the excavator and the backhoe came out of line,
Yeah,
Yes.
impacted
yeah,
when we bought trucks.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, especially when it's that part of my driveway.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
No,
That would give me a copy of those.
that was terrible.
Yeah, we want to just have to.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you both for
That was a-
kind of resetting the budget and thinking about what you actually need and.
Well, one thing that really stuck out to me is I worked back here back in 2015, and I left. And our budget around then was like 1.5. And looking at it now, I think when I started, ours was like 1.3. So to see that it had decreased by 200,000 over the course of 10 years, and knowing as the highway foreman of what it takes to run that garage and to be able to even, yes, we get grants, yes, but the town should always be able to be self-reliant to an extent of maintaining our roads, not necessarily if those grants aren't always guaranteed, they're not always promised, and then that also allows us to track those where those dollars are spent. To say, for residents also to say, yes, we're allocating $30,000 to finish Plains Road this year, or something along those lines where we can, or if a grant ends at a certain spot, and hey, we got enough time, we can keep going, 2-3 cross culverts down, and it's going to cost about this much to replace those culverts and re-gravel the road and re-ditch the road. Then that allows us to move farther down the road.
Well, and the other issue is the state is really hurting in terms of what AOT can provide.
Absolutely.
And they're cutting back just our normal amount of dollars from AOT. And then they're cutting their own employees as well.
Yeah,
The
for
work
sure.
that they can do.
And by no means do I ever want my taxes to go up either. But I also, if things are needed, I have, you know what I mean? That's where I also I'm trying to break it into not ask for an extensive increase and kind of break it up over, a 5-year period or a 10-year period and just ask for little bits at a time. So that way it doesn't hurt so much either. And more things can be done through town.
And you do have some other new equipment that, we were able to purchase, the sign, the striping and stuff like that too, that help. But plus what was the hot box or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that does give you more tools to work with.
Absolutely. And better to maintain, asphalt roads when we haven't been able to pave them or stuff like that. We can at least be more consistent on patching and.
Like those tar snakes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Jack.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, we're gonna talk about town library. Cheap.
Hey.
So this is like your general budget. This isn't the,
Okay, we have no idea why we're actually here.
oh, you don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, we weren't really sure.
Well, I figured it out while watching Jacob. I've never come to the budget
Okay.
review before. I think
wow.
We
Jeff
thought,
usually
because
does
we're on
the huge.
twice, and then we were like wondering
Yeah,
what this was about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
So now I understand. that.
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
So what I
Okay.
did this year, which I'm sorry if I didn't,
Well, Jeff's out of town, so that's why, and he
Yes.
usually is here for the budget.
right.
Okay, we
I
thought we
think
were
I
here for
left it
other.
with Jeff, but
Okay,
that's.
yeah.
But so what I've been doing is, this year, kind of breaking out the departments and kind of, putting them in each select board meeting to kind of go over, just kind of show everybody what's gonna be discussed. And then we're gonna have a budget work session and kind of work on seeing where it is. So this is like your general budget.
Yes.
Right now. And then the next one was the TMRI, where you went to the kickoff and asked about $50,000.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to just talk about the general budget, which I don't know.
I think we,
much has.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have a more specific breakout if you
Yeah.
wanted to look at that, but
No.
We weren't asking for more money for like
Right.
our general operating budget
Yep.
next fiscal year compared
Yep.
to this one. So there's nothing that's really
Yep,
significantly
absolutely.
different.
And the only thing I wanted to point out to the board is I'd like Brian to divide this up, like have salaries and then benefits below that. So that'll be a change in this coming budget. But other than that, you're go ahead.
Yeah, but based on the sheet, your 121 is correct. But it didn't, the increase or decrease didn't pick up the shift.
It won't because there's no formula in there and I have to have Brian fix that.
Because so it ended up saying, oh, there's a decrease of
Yeah,
23,000,
no.
but it's really an increase of 3366.
Exactly, and that's why it's a new line, it's in here as a new line item because there's no formula in there yet.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
we don't want people to think, oh, wow, $23,000 less. No, it's not.
right,
It's about
right.
$3,400 up.
Yep, exactly. So other than that, if there's no questions on the general operating budget.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go
I
ahead.
thought we voted in town meeting day 2023 for your salary was $70,000. Why am I missing 60?
Because because there's formulas that go with their salary. Yeah, I know. Amy's great at it. Maybe you are too, but you gotta bring those formulas over to the budget. Brian has these pages all lined up in an Excel. And if we put our salaries in one of and it carries over, there's a formula that will put it right into the budget. Well, this isn't put in there properly because of the benefits.
Plus the 70 included benefits of that year.
It did.
Okay, I think that was really my question is like, I did,
Okay.
I wouldn't, and when taking a job offer, I wouldn't say like, oh, $70,000 includes your health insurance and whatever, like that's
Right, and all of ours is broken out separately, so I figured it would be nice to have theirs broken out separately.
And I agree with
So,
that. That's helpful to see. It's just I'm
Yeah.
worried about $64,000.
Yep.
I didn't know.
Also, that includes like the assistant hours and also subs because I get the town holidays off, but like, and I get vacation days, but the library doesn't necessarily close because I'm on holiday. So that $64,000 is not just my salary, that's like also paid to other employees.
Now I'm concerned that's too low then.
Yeah, it is too low to live in this area.
It absolutely is. We've been and just a history of that. I mean, we don't have to get into it at this moment, but history is that we've been spending a lot of time advocating for a full-time library director. And then after that, ensuring that our full-time library director could afford to even live anywhere near this library, but not in this town. So
We can talk about
that's
it.
a different issue.
Let's
We
see.
have spent many board meetings talking about that. We have a different issue tonight, apparently.
My overall thought is like, if you're okay with these numbers, that's what it is, let's just bring to the board, but my thought is with your salary and an assistant salary, if you're telling me that, I would like you to come to the board with real.
We can do that after we solve this current conundrum.
For staff, like, I don't know your.
Yeah, so we have 11 hours of part-time staff per week that's split between 2 people. And then, I don't remember the exact number, but we have an agreement with the town that the town covers like up to this number of that. And then we cover the additional amount that we go over, which I think was around $5,000 for this past fiscal year. And then we cover that, basically like with money that we've fundraised or like through grants or whatever.
And what is are you 40 hours?
38 hours.
38.
Yeah, so we have,
Full time.
yeah, we have like 49 hours of staff time. Basically.
And Amy, I can send you like past materials if you're interested. We did a lot of data analysis on other library director salaries in comparable areas.
I have a feeling of what it's gonna come out with, but yeah, I would love to read it.
There was a question from the audience. Do you want to take the question?
Sure, because the budget is part of, we said we take a question. You want to speak your name to the.
Yeah, Brian Calvin, 129 Browns Trace.
And what is your question?
I was wondering, I had a comment about both this and the 50,000 a year. Should I wait till after you guys finish your 50,000 or should I wait in now?
Wait till they talk, then we'll take the questions on that, because that's that's part C of the, budget discussion. Shall the select board put the request for 50?
Questions about the budget?
No, not this anymore.
No, we'll probably,
I'm just gonna take this out.
Also, the Vermont Library Association has salary studies.
Yeah.
For public libraries.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah, I think it's a good piece to review, knowing that, you know, this is a town employee, this is our library director. So, yeah,
I have two masters.
two masters, suppose.
How dare I? I'm sorry.
Well, should we talk for the item C?
Yes.
Okay, so the last time we were here in July, we had shared information about after being here a couple meetings prior, or a couple months prior. I think you all are aware of the full project, right? Like the library, just to remind everyone, Jericho Town Library is a 200-year-old town-owned historic building. We have a town employee, a number of them, and we have been working on ensuring that our building is accessible to the entire public. During that time, over the past 13 years that we've been working on this as a library, with Vermont Integrated Architecture, we found out through a two structural engineering reports, but a more current one, that there is some significant structural rehabilitation that needs to occur to ensure that the building is safe and sound. Again, this 200-year-old historic town-owned building. So at the July meeting, we shared a budget with you all that just broke out the cost of the structural repairs. We had asked VIA to create a separate budget that took out the costs around the accessibility project, the ADA piece of it, and just look at the structural rehabilitation. That budget was shared. We know that we have $100,000 that has already been earmarked for the library from the ARPA funding. During that meeting, there was a lot of discussion. I believe Brian was in the audience at the time, or community, and there was conversations about the best way to go about ensuring that our town-owned building could be brought up to a safe and sound place. We were encouraged to attend the first budget meeting, which we did. We had a presence at that meeting, and also during that July meeting, one of the ideas that was brainstormed during this kind of back and forth brainstorming session was that it's not wise to ask to go to a vote, because we've already, that's just not a good move. Instead, to look at $50,000 from the town budget a year over the next 4 years to cover the remaining costs that are needed to ensure that we can create a safe building, the foundation, the roof, and any other additional repairs. At that meeting, it was also shared that this would mean, like, I assume you all know way more than me, because I'm not in construction or in your roles, that there would be a loan that could be taken out so that we could begin those repairs as soon as possible, because it is really clear in that report that the building, these repairs need to happen very soon. And so we're really hoping that in the town budget for this year and for the next 4 years, we could build in $50,000 over the next 4 years so that we can get this project started. We've also just have launched a large fundraising campaign. We've been doing a lot of fundraising over the last just 2 months. So we really went public facing. and have had a lot of success and support from the community. So we know that there is interest in preserving this treasure for our community. And this is getting really tiring for us to have to keep coming to these meetings to ask for this. So we thought that with the conversation at town meeting Reimagine Budget Planning Day, that was kind of the next step. So we're not quite sure what we're asking tonight. We're just asking for that to happen, essentially. Anything that I'm not saying?
No, we're happy to answer any questions about the project. I don't think we have a new ask.
We do not have a new ask
from before.
But rather than have it go to a vote, you would like this group to.
Yeah, I thought that's what we had asked.
It says here on the ballot, so
We did not ask for that. We do not want it to go to a vote.
Meeting Reimagine that people asked about it.
Yeah, town meeting reimagine wasn't a budget thing. It was more of.
Building ideas for the budget.
Right.
Yes.
Right, and people did talk about putting this as a ballot item.
Right.
At TMR.
Hear that. I wasn't there, but we had a significant majority of our library board at the meeting,
Yes.
including Catherine.
Exactly.
And what came up was that there was support for this to be built into the budget, but not put to a vote. Because what we heard in July was that very clearly that could be putting the library in a very like sensitive place if it goes to a vote. And through that conversation,
Be a ballot item?
yeah, have it being a ballot item rather.
What do you mean by you put the library in sensitive space? What do you mean?
she's worried they'll vote it down.
Yeah, if they vote it down, we have a town-owned building that now the town, who is responsible for this building? The town. It's a 200-year-old historic building. It is the center of the town. It is a center of equity. We have a town employee here. If the town votes it down, ultimately it comes back to you all. Like, what are we doing about ensuring that it's structurally safe and sound? Setting aside the ADA accessibility piece, which is also feels very shameful, personally. We're just saying, can we get the building in a place where it is safe for families, children, elders, everyone who accesses it? And I think going to a vote is a very dangerous situation.
So my concern is, and I know we talked about it over email, you're asking for $250,000 over 4 years, plus the 100,000 you have.
200, right?
200.
Wait,
200. 50 times 4.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's 5 years, not 4 years, I'm sorry. Okay. But what you've been told you really need is 1.3 million.
If we want,
1.5 million.
I think it was 1.3 was whatever. Let's say 1.325. When this happens, it could be a decade from
You're
now.
not going to vote because people would be very hesitant to vote for $1.5 million.
Oh, yeah, of course. And we have, yes, that is absolutely correct.
Amy,
Yeah.
ask your question.
Yeah, so, I love this library and I want to say I am supportive of looking for all the options to fix it. But what I want to know is, once we use up this money, what's the plan for, that's a big chunk of change. And I want us to be thinking that long term, because I don't want to say like, okay, here's a couple $100,000 more dollars. And then in 5 years, it's like, we are stuck and the building is still not usable.
Yes, for everyone,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely. So, I mean, that's why when we came to you all, I don't know how many years ago we started it. It's been 13 years that we've been working with VIA. They have our plans. When we just talked to them recently, they said we're their oldest project that they've, they have our, this goes back to 2013, 2012, our plans. And so, when we came back to you all, we said, we really want this whole project. Not only do we want to make sure that it's structurally safe and sound, we want to make sure it's accessible for the community. We recognize that's a huge ask, right? And so I think it's, a public and private relationship in the sense that right now we recognize that we need to take care of the immediate necessary pieces, like phase 1, but that is not the end for us. We are engaged. We just reactivated our friends of the Jericho Town Library. There is a very, very dynamic, energized group that just over the last 2 months have just started really thinking about strategies, both through fundraising, grant writing. We know that there are grants out there that would support the accessibility components of it, but we can't do the accessibility until we take care of the foundation. Like you can't, you gotta take care of the foundation before you can take care of the other pieces.
So I think what I'm thinking is, for me to feel good about putting that into the budget, what I do want to eventually see is like, okay, so this is step one. This is fix the foundation, fix the roof, fix the cracking wall.
Yes.
And then I want to know like, okay, so in 2030, what are we going to start doing? And like, what grants are we going to start applying for? Like, are you going to come back to us in 2030 and say, hey, about that extra $1 million, or more by then, probably?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a really interesting question, Amy, because it's a town-owned building, right? And so I wonder, where is the private-public partnership? What's the public commitment to it? We are highly committed. I want it done before 2030. I mean, that would be my goal, right? Like, this is not okay that we're sitting on this, right? So, we're going to continue doing what we're doing to fundraise, to write grants, but where is the public partnership of that? And that's, I think, where I keep getting stuck, because I don't quite understand this. Like, we have not that many public buildings in our town and public employees, and the library is one of those. And so how do we, ensure that that is there for future generations to come? So that's what my question is. I am going to, the board is committed to this project, but we cannot do this project without your partnership. So that's, I guess my questions flip back to you all. What is your commitment to the library?
I know, I don't know if this is the right time, but I know Eric wanted me to read the email that he sent. He wanted this to be in the minutes. So I'm just gonna read this and then you guys can take it from there. But Eric wrote to Lindsay today, and he said his thoughts were, when Lindsay and Catherine came to the select board meeting last, we decided that the best way to make sure that we have the full town support to tackle this building maintenance was to do a ballot question asking for the additional 200,000 over 4 years to do the needed repairs. I think that the select board needs to approve the ballot item soon. I think him and I should get together and talk about that, but it was already on the agenda, so I don't know. For the select board vote to make it part of the ballot. Then the voters can approve it directly. I think we should wait for the results of that vote before proceeding.
But that's not what we heard in July. I mean, I have to be quite honest, and I have notes from that. And that was not what we heard in July around a ballot. Like, okay, if the community is voting on the budget, like, is that what you're talking about, the ballot vote? Or are you saying there's going to be a separate question, should the town, if it's,
That's what I heard. I haven't said.
and that's not what we heard. That's not what we heard, and that's not what the library asked at town meeting day budget meeting number 1. Thinking about, that was not what we heard, and that was not what was encouraged at all during that July meeting. In fact, Brian was here and said, you put it to a vote, and it's likely, who knows, it's a gamble. But if you build it into the budget, your town budget, over these next 4 years, people might still have questions about it, but that comes out throughout all the questions around the budget. And so that's not what we heard. And I even, took notes at that meeting just because I want to make sure that we're hearing correctly, because this is really not in my area of expertise at all. So.
What isn't your, what do you mean?
Your work, I'm a volunteer. Yeah, I mean, I know budgeting processes. Yeah, I know you are, and thank you. And I have to do the budgeting for my organization, but this is very different because I know about the sensitivity. There are sensitive issues around the library. There's history around that. I personally think it's ridiculous. The more, the Jericho Town Library is 200 years old. Clearly, it's been there for a long time. So if we put it to a vote when people are feeling really, stressed about taxes and et cetera, it's very likely that this will not move forward. And then what do you want for the library, I guess is the question. Because that's really out of our hands.
I'm gonna say that I'm supportive of adding 50,000 to the budget and not going to putting it as a ballot item. I think it's a public good. I hear you around the equity issue that it's something that everyone can access. We also talk about recreational activities being in need. Jericho Town Library does that and a lot of programming. So I may be in the minority, but I do feel like that's a reasonable request.
I don't know. If we did that, Paula, would it have to be in the normal line item for the library budget, or would it be some sort of separate?
It'd be separate.
Okay.
It has to be separate.
But I think if we do a vote, we all have to agree without Eric, is that?
Well, 3 of us have to agree.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought that if one's gone.
But you need a majority of the full board, so I figured you just do it.
Okay.
But is this the place to do that?
No, I think we're still talking about it because we haven't looked at the full budget. Because
Yeah.
Because we're putting
Right.
things in, taking things out,
Yeah.
once we see what the increase of the taxes are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so we're not making any final decisions tonight. Now, Mr. Calhoun,
Right. But I would like to, I know that there's a lot of people who love the library. And I know it's been a public-private, endeavor in the past. What I'm hearing is that if it's 120,000 a year, for the next 10 years, that's 1.2 million, plus another 200,000.
No.
Right now, the conversation is just about
$200,000.
$200,000 for building, not for ADA accessibility, but just for structural integrity of the building itself.
Right, but there is a line item in the budget for 120,000 a year for salary and keeping the building. But, right? That's
The thing we talked about a minute ago.
right.
Yes.
Okay, so in looking at the next, it's.
Oh, I see. You're
It's 1.2, yeah, it's 1.2 million plus this extra 200,000. Plus there's no plan. They're talking about 1.3 million to get it with the ADA. It needs an elevator. It needs a lot of other stuff to get it where everybody can use it. There's no plan for that 1.3 million. So we're talking a lot of money. And I think that in this town, with the highway and with everything else, there is a lot of expenses. The Deborah Rawson Library is a very short distance away. They're about 3 miles away. The number of people who walk to the Jericho Town Library, that used to be a thing back in the old days. But now it's probably 20 people who maybe walk to the Jericho Town Library.
We have about 1,000 active card holders, which is significant for a town with a population of 5,000. And we don't add, like if someone comes to the library already with a Deborah Rawson card, we don't double count that patron in that statistic. So those are people who have come to our library. And by active, I mean that within the past 2 years, they've used their card. We expire and delete the cards that are older than that.
I think you guys do a great job and you have a lot of it. I've been to some of the things at the library. It's great. But I think at a certain point, you need to say, this 200-year-old building is going to take, it would be cheaper to tear it down and start over than to bring it up to what it needs to be. And I think that with a library less than 3 miles away, that will probably need a bond for an expansion in the near future. We don't need 2 libraries in Jericho. We just need 1 library. This is a chance for the town to save money. And I think that I am all for the private part of this public-private partnership. The private part can take it away. They can buy the building from the town. And then on top of now we're talking $2 million or more over the next 10 years. We could save that 2 million and sell the building for a couple $100,000, and you guys could do what you want to.
And then where are, like, a library is the center of equity for a community. You're part of the public. I'm part of the public. There are families, there are elders that come and use the computer. There are people that come to print things out for programs, for gathering. We do not have gathering spaces like that in Jericho. When people look to move to this town, they look to see, where can I gather? Where can I connect with others in our community? Where is there a place where I am included, where I am not going to be pushed away because of my faith, my identity, any of those factors, that I can be a part of something? The Deborah Rawson Library, it's great. It has very different programming and different offerings. It's literally a hop, skip, and a jump to Underhill. This is the Jericho Town Library. And I know that this is going to be the perennial issue, and that's why we're asking you all to be and telling you this is sensitive. But our library serves a huge purpose in our community. It's more than just books and a place to, like, you know, it's a place to come and get resources. It's a place for people to gather. I mean, the programming has increased tremendously over the past 3-4 years. It's not going down. It's only increasing. We want families. We want people to move to our town. We want to make our place, you know, our town a place where everyone can feel included.
But you're so worried that the town wouldn't approve that you don't even want it to be on the ballot.
It's because
Why not
of
let
this
the
issue.
town- Why not let the town be?
Time out, this is the select board meeting.
But I think, I mean, the comments have been made on both sides. I think that, you know, it's not gonna be solved tonight. And so, you know, we'll continue working on the budget and people will have their voice. So.
I would just ask, because this is maybe about, like, I don't even know how many meetings I've been at.
Right, but
To
we're
advocate
not
for
gonna
this.
do anything tonight.
I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just asking, please. This is just gonna be an ongoing issue. And I think it's actually really serious now. Like, we're getting to a point where, like, we have a report that says this needs to happen. This is an important place for people in our community. I would argue it's just as important as the roads, right? I mean, it is I mean, you could ask people about different opinions.
We understand you're having.
Okay.
But.
But what I'm saying is, please don't ask us to come back again if you're not gonna support this. Like, this is getting to be exhausting for
There will
us.
be a final decision eventually.
And it's a public building. It's historic.
It's not needed.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments as well, Mr. Calhoun.
Also, I agree with Lindsay about coming back to the select board. We've had this conversation a bunch, but Amy, you had mentioned, like, you wanted to see, you know, what the long-term financial plan. We're so happy to provide you, anyone who wants more information or meet about it.
Yeah, you're welcome to come to any of our meetings and meet for coffee, and we can tell you all about it. Lots of information.
My email, send it to generic Jericho Town Library.
We've been having problems with our spam filter.
That to Vermont State. Oh, you see that?
Yeah, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sarah.
We do know.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Next is some update. We're gonna update the wastewater task force. Info.
Yep. Wastewater Task Force met 10 days ago on the 10th. Greg Tate, so sort of informational updates. Greg Tate was moving forward with his phase one, which is not our phase one, but his phase one, which is 23 units of mixed use, and he is planning on 6,000 gallons of 6,000 gallon tank for that work, to support that, and he's got that built in. He has that septic system already existing. He's anticipating needing another 30,000 gallons off-site for future development in that area. We talked to you about the Eaton Island firing range, right? That's so nothing's happened in that area. There'll be a meeting at some point, but that's not scheduled at the moment. Dave Villeneuve came to our meeting for the first time, which was great because he's right in that zone and hadn't really been tuned in at all. Dave Villeneuve, he is a landowner. He owns a lot of property in a commercial district, sort of in the Jerry Hill hardware area. And he said that he has 30,000 gallons of septic capacity on his property, the property behind the hardware store. And he's sort of said that's there, and you guys should know that's there. And I'm happy to talk more about that. And then the CHIP, which is the Community Housing Infrastructure Program, is that right?
Yeah.
Community Housing Infrastructure, which is basically a new state.
It's a project specific tip.
It's a program to help develop, to improve housing options throughout the state. And it's basically a specific version of a TIF, which is a tax increment fund, which is, do you know what that is, TIF? Kate McCarthy, who's our connection at the CCRPC, recommended or asked if the select board would be interested in having sort of a CHIP education presentation at the select board, and Eric and I both thought that was a good idea, and we bring it back to you all, and assuming that folks feel that's I think it's an important thing for us to understand, that given that we're going to hopefully be embarking on it, because our project is pretty tailor-made for that type of funding. And if folks are okay with that, I'll go back to Kate and let her know that we are interested in having a sort of educational presentation at one of our meetings about CHIP in general and specifically how it can work with us. We also met with a gentleman named John Kiernan, who is from RCAP, which is the Rural Community Assistance Partnership, which is a Washington DC company that basically knows everything about the kind of project we're doing. And he was saying, we do this and this and this and this and this. And we were like, oh my God, this is amazing, this is great. We're gonna use you for all this stuff. And he's like, oh, but I'm too busy to help you guys. So we were like, okay, great, I guess. But then I was talking to Eric and I said, I think that we should kind of think about him similar to VLCT. Like, oh, we should ask the VLCT about that rather than going to Claudine or whatever. Like, this is a resource. And that I think he's a good resource, and this RCAP group is a good resource when we kind of bump up against like, oh crap, so now what are we gonna do? Or how do we navigate this? Or somebody else must have already done this before. Reaching out to him to sort of ask, how do people navigate this, whatever challenges we're working on? So it is a good resource. It was a bummer that he was not able to help us in a more systemic way, but it's a good resource. Chris Brown is on the Wastewater Task Force as well. It's not here for that reason. But anything else occur to you that we talked about that I haven't mentioned?
I think you did it. I think you got the high points, yeah.
And I'm also on the outreach committee, and we are working on pulling together, finalizing the website language. And Kate McCarthy is either is or will be working with Sabina to get that stuff up there and think about how to structure it. And part of that is putting together a fact file, which we're wordsmithing as a group through the SharePoint document. And Susan Brzee has put together a front porch forum post for Eric to put out. Eric is a kind of identified person to send information out, just to kind of keep it in front of people. So the outreach piece is sort of kicking off and sort of getting more active, I guess.
And we did talk about having a table at the January 20th.
Yes, having a table up at the sort of our town meeting, not really a town meeting, but town meeting day.
Yeah,
meeting two. So. So that is it for task force updates. Great.
So anyway, the first thing on the select board updates then is the annual report for the town report. And you have to remember, you're reporting on the last fiscal year, the one that just ended, with just a little bit of information for the next fiscal year. Some people forget that it's not the calendar year, it's not the new budget year, it's fiscal year 2025 that you're gonna report on.
Right.
Normally, it was, last year. It was the chair and the, well, in the past, it's been the chair and the town administrator, or the town administrator, depending on what's going on. But both of them had input over the years. That's where it came from, was the chair and the town administrator.
I had a question about that, which was,
They're kind of dry.
I was gonna say with nothing but respect for the previous authors, a little dry. I'm wondering if, Amy, if you or Paul, and you're sort of thinking about the annual report, have you done any research into select board reports and like what, if there's a best practice or even not even just best practice, like look at 5 of them and find if anybody's got a way to make it.
Yeah, we got everybody's on the, you know, that nominator or whatever, read through a couple of them on the website.
You did that? Or
So I will do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, typically the report just, because one, it comes when people are very busy, so they just look, okay, what did we say last year? Let's just update it. What happened this year? That's why it's so dry.
So I'd love to see it just have a little more sort of.
That's why we passed it out to you guys. It'd be nice to have more input.
Yeah.
Not just having, I don't think it's, for me anyway, I don't think it should come from me. I think it should like have more for you guys to put in.
Hey, this is our chance to like, hey,
Yeah,
the 5 of us
right.
are reporting out on what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but obviously, you hit the highlights.
So do you have time? Do you have time to do that? 'Cause I can also do that.
So I can definitely read.
There's also a research queen.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you wanna help out, then we can dive deep.
And I mean, I feel like the contents I'm less knowledgeable of, but certainly the style, I'm happy to.
That's right.
Style is good, take it on. Style would be better because, right now, the contents, write themselves basically, because that's what's there.
I mean, if we have 10 bullets that we can all agree on, that like, here are the 10 things we wanna put in there, oh my gosh.
And this is where the highlight, because basically what it is, the highlights of what last year was.
What's our deadline?
Pardon?
What's our deadline?
December.
Yeah, so we're in December, but
It's more by early December, but let's.
it can even go a little later too,
I
right?
know, because I still have to write one for the energy task force.
So should we, if we can get some factual content, do that from.
Yeah, you can, I can help,
That's
try to give you some of that, for sure.
Yeah, that's where Paula.
Yeah.
Highlight, or the chair last year.
And maybe it's as simple as, I'm looking at the 23-24 report that Linda sent, just go to that and like changing numbers.
Exactly.
Changing bullets, and then we
Right,
can
or
look
just
at it.
make something totally different, right, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is you always would, always good to start with, you have an unqualified audit. Because that's incredibly important.
We could emphasize that, but not necessarily start with that. We may have a
Right.
more engaging way to bring in the reader rather than like, hey, here comes our boring report, our audit was great. We can put that below the fold and engage the reader a bit.
That's probably true.
Jericho. Someone will populate the content and then Amy and I will take it from there, or I'm happy to take it from there.
I mean, like,
Yeah, we can,
Well, the two of you can communicate
Okay.
yeah,
ad nauseum as much as you want, so you could even just get a Google Doc together and the two of you, whoever stays out of it, that's legal communication.
the like 10 bullet point meeting,
Yeah.
say like, okay, the one I think of is we're now a 5-member board, we should
Yeah,
probably start
yeah,
with that. And
yeah.
That's a biggie right there.
yes, like, we passed our audit, like, what else did you guys do last
Yeah.
year?
If we're able to get that, then I think we can just.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
We're smart women, we can, very well.
Are you guys, no judgment, are you guys, I'm assuming you're a good writer, you're a librarian. You're-
It's such a good writer.
Love it, fabulous.
I mean, and other things to focus on is the fact that we had flooding, FEMA event last year. That was important, we're still working on that this year.
Why don't the 3 of us, me and Eric, why don't we just each send an email to either Amy or Laura, to keep it legal, only one other person.
Right.
And just say like, hey,
Here's what you did.
Thinking about my year, thinking about the year.
I think that's
Here's what
good.
jumps out at me.
Just do a Google Doc.
Yeah,
Drop it all in
Yeah,
and then.
and then just put it together.
yeah.
I'd love to see photos.
Okay, yeah, we have photos that you guys took at, the new garage.
Yeah.
We must also have other photos of like fun stuff, like, do you guys have any like? The select board have photos? I was gonna say, I've never taken a photo of you guys, but.
We can also go to next meeting.
You know
Yes.
what? Well, we can't, cause Amy's not gonna be here.
Oh.
You know, we can point to.
Right.
Well, typically we haven't done photos as part of our report either because, other than. Oh. Hello. Ooh.
Oh, look who's rolling in, Mr. Banger's hours rolling in.
What's up? But we haven't, because, typically we've tried to squeeze as many pages in as we can because of cost to.
Sure, I'm more thinking like, you can be creative, like, oh, if we only use 3/4 of a page. Fill it in.
Yeah, because usually the photos are, the cover or the inside.
But they'll put like.
Lights and-
Yeah.
Little lighter to report.
Yeah,
Make it
definitely.
speak.
Yeah.
Although as I understand, there should be something in this report, even though, we haven't this year, is that, Bert Munday.
Yep. I already told her that too.
That, he comes way back in all the different committees that he served on.
Yeah, the longest one in town.
Yeah, he did.
Gonna say,
Giant, that guy was a giant leg, he just all leg.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his wife is so small. She's very short, very sweet.
So does it make sense that I'll make the Google Doc, I'll send an email with a link to it,
Great.
and people will populate it.
No, we can't possibly go back.
No,
We'll send,
Yes,
we'll send, yeah.
And then you and I should populate the doc.
Shared Google Doc.
Gotcha.
comes out.
Okay.
But, so we'll always email one or the other of you like, hey, here are the highlights, I wanna see them or somewhere.
Good.
okay. All right.
See you, Chris?
The other updates. Well, do you want to start?
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, in spite of as many events that were happening on the 15th, including the beginning of honey season, we actually had more than 2 dozen people come out to see the art, chat with the artists. That was wonderful. And the big thing is looking forward, the MMU student artwork exhibition was so well received last year. We're going to be able to do it again with MMU students this year. Yeah, and that, we're going to showcase their work through, January, starting in January through early February. And we've already scheduled the reception for January 10th from 10 to noon. So get all this up on the website. But because one of the people who came to talk to, just came to see the art was a family with a student who was an MU student from the music department. And now we're negotiating to see if we could have one of the band, small groups, whether it's the jazz group or something, actually play music at the reception, because that also showcases the students' skills there. And the CCRPC met last night, and they reported that the draft ecos plan with the new maps that has been submitted to the LNURB, the land use review board, which is the new one populated by professionals for preliminary review. And again, it was mentioned that there may be, and this is just a preliminary look at it. And again, Charlie mentioned that there may be pushback from the board on some of the tier 1B mapping because it's too broad for what the board is looking for. So that could be from. And as for tier 3, because they were starting to start talking about tier 3, which is the natural resources and the protective, much more protective Act 250, is that ANR said they're short-staffed, they can't possibly meet the deadlines. And rural communities, particularly in the Northeast Kingdom, said it's too soon for them as well. Particularly the road rule, because that was supposed to take place in January of 2026. People are like, can't think about that. And so there may be a slide off of when the tier 3 is actually talked about, discussed, set into motion because January 2026 and December 2026, people can't meet those kind of things. And I also attended the TMRI meeting November 12th, and the group is actively working on a hybrid voting to make sure counts are correct and working on the details so we don't have that kind of issue we had last year. And they want to make sure, if both show a clear majority, then the motion will pass because there's no question. But if it calls for a hand count, they're developing a methodology so for the hybrid to be similar with a hand count in person that the facilitator for that event. And then they ask us to just hit the highlights of each area of the budget to make sure the process is smoother and quicker, so to speak. So rather than, because sometimes there are areas where you need to go through every line. And I let them know that sometimes we have to, but she said, as much as we can facilitate moving forward with this, and I think we have in the last couple of years, but they wanted to do that. So.
Library or auditorium?
Library. And they're working on.
They know I was copied on the email that they were talking about me on. It was so confusing that I couldn't tell if they knew I was on there. They were talking about me as if I wasn't. So I'm like, do I respond or do I not respond? So I chose not to because
that was smart.
Doubt, do nothing,
Yeah.
They're like, well, this was very important to Eric. We're not going to do it, but it's very important to him. So we've got to find a way around that.
Well, they thought that we could sit in tall chairs. And then that was what we went, well, that might be very uncomfortable for, several hours. But turns out the risers they have there are rustic, obviously, and not safe. So they're looking into seeing how much risers would cost to actually rent for that.
And that's easier than the auditorium. They hate the auditorium that much.
I went done with them on that.
Why?
It's just like, it's like a huge friggin' van. It's pathetic. It's just like this huge, it's like you rented this 10,000 auditorium and your band brought in 18 people. Just like.
I just think I think the point is to make it feel as much like the old town meeting. And if you have it in the library, it just seems like you're all hanging out having tea. It just doesn't feel very official.
Especially since they're talking about doing dessert in the library and doing.
Right, like it just feels like,
we're
just hanging out. Right, like, I don't know, like, yeah, it's definitely too big, but the library is not, I think it's worse, but.
Well, anyway, that's the update from them. They're actively working on it. The next meeting is going to be in early December. So I'm going to the ones, because this impacts us. Good. Anybody else's updates?
You just remind me, we need to talk about, the close vote, the 51 to 50.
They asked us.
Dollar amounts and all.
They asked us, if you're gonna do that, do it for your own selves, keep it in your head. And only bring it up if it becomes an issue there, because they don't want people to not bring up ideas.
Oh, or do they think like, oh, it's a $30,000 limit, I want 29,999.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So they
But it's
said,
not something we could discuss in executive session. So how do we do it in a way that,
probably
if we could do it in like do it as an update and people can pay attention and read the minutes if they want.
yeah, we'll have to think about that, because they want people to be able to talk about stuff, but not all of a sudden, squish, oh, well, if it's within 5, because like, it may not, like we've talked about whether it's the number and or the closeness, because the increase for the select board was, it was a chunk, with the 5-member board, 25,000. And, but yet it passed almost unanimously. But if, it's one vote or, and it's only 10,000, do you still pay attention? So, I mean, it's to think about it yourself, but please don't say it till, it becomes an issue.
I don't see how we can. I don't think we can not discuss it in public.
Well, eventually, well, you will at the beginning of the meeting, I think, or sometime during the meeting is what they're thinking.
But we can't talk about it we need, I think, we need to talk about it, kind of have a consensus or a decision or whatever, about hey, this number, or this closest, whatever, but we. can't
Well,
discuss that.
maybe we talk about it at the budget meeting or something like that. Because that's, you know, our retreat, our budget retreat,
Which is just a meeting.
which is just a meeting.
I mean, it's still a warned meeting.
It's still a board meeting, but people usually, if it's a daytime, people usually don't, you know,
Right, that's like,
less likely. I mean, it's there, it'll be.
yeah, that's probably a good idea, actually, to do it there.
Yeah, because that's where it's going to be impactful anyway. It's going to be, you know, a budget item, whether somebody takes a.
Right,
something.
it's related to the budget
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So anyway, you have any updates?
Just a small one. I attended a webinar from DLT for community engagement. Select board and previous workplace. There were some great ideas. Well, one of them seemed pretty easy, and that is to do like a conversation with a select board member. The way ED grading does ALV. And I wondered about contacting the ED and saying, hey, can one of us come and join you and make it a joint thing? I mean, I don't know how well attended her things are, so if we have town business and state business, and she's the
School board. I mean, it's amazing stuff, thing that she's handling. But
What's funny is I went to her last one, which was last week, to talk to her about the school task force that she's working on. And while I was there, I said to her, I said, hey, when I came in, no one was there. I said, you get a lot of people here, because I kind of trickles throughout the whole time, like, see a lot of people. And while I was there, a guy showed up and was asking about Green Mountain Transit, the bus that we lost.
oh yeah, the bus we lost.
And I said, oh, actually, I'm on the select board, and we knew that was coming and it's a problem, and we talked about this micro transit idea. And there's this other woman who was also very upset about it, who I guess I'll connect the two of you through email. So actually it turned out to be like, because I was there, it happened to be like, I put my select board hat on and talked to this guy and then emailed him later on about it. And I think that's a cool idea. And I'm sure Edie'd be like, great, absolutely.
Are folks supportive of me reaching out to Edie and then we could take turns? Or I'd have to just, she doesn't do it that often. So there are some of you who are much more knowledgeable about issues, but it's kind of a listening.
But it's even, right, it's even just like,
Yeah,
exactly.
listening,
I don't know if I'll get back to you.
Because it really helps you understand what people are concerned about.
Okay, I'll do
That's
it.
a cool idea. Do you have her contact?
I do, yeah.
Do you have any updates, Paula? No. Well, then, if we have to move on
I
to,
have a couple quick, mostly just I want to ask
oh,
about.
okay, here.
Capital plan, want to see where that is stands.
We've definitely dropped in the past week. But what we have together is, we have the list of all of the, town-owned items. So that's, well, right, no, like, an incredible amount of work went into it.
I was gonna say.
Thank you, this is Paula. But after that, the next steps are, okay, so we have, this is everything we own. I think that this is something that, as a select board, should sit down and look at, say, this is everything we own, we need to go through. Where do we want everything, like what's gonna happen in the next 5 years, because there are a lot of questions. So I would like to take that an item, I mean.
Yeah, and then I also have that on, is to like get the group back together to do that too. But I won't, it's not gonna be, the budget needs to take.
I know, I was gonna say,
it's
budget
so hard.
taking precedent.
Yeah.
Since over.
Yeah,
I know.
so even, it'll probably be after.
Okay, that's fine.
And then I have a note to myself, that it just says Public Works, due from either December or January. I don't know what that means. Is that on
Oh,
track
he was
for that?
rewriting public.
He's
Oh,
working on the public works
Oh,
next.
okay.
Yeah.
And is that on track as far as we know?
I
in terms
can
of
follow up with Tyler
yeah,
on
for
that.
December or January? And then I was looking at the minute, I was reading the minutes, have you or anybody, Paul, had a chance to look at the other towns that have the infrastructure?
No.
Community thing, okay.
No.
Speaking of the minutes, of reading the minutes, I've been driving back and forth over that lump Here, because I drive that way a lot anyway. If you're driving from the center to here, it's just more of a flow. And it was always the side from the corners to the center that was really bad anyway. Turns out there is still a little hump. More so than the flow on the other side, but you don't, because it was so much different, so much less than what was there, you really just start ignoring it. Because it's less than a speed hump or a speed table, but if people are focusing on it, there is something there. But I don't know whether it can be smoothed out any more than it is or not. Because anytime you're trying to make it smoother, you're gonna end up more asphalt and of course you can't do that this time of year anyway. And it would just make it maybe even more bumpier.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not. It may be speed table, but maybe even less than that. I don't know. It depends on your feeling of what, approach it. It's not as bad as some of the cross teams we get, but.
Yeah, it's not nearly, I don't know where that information came from, or if I just misheard them. Maybe they said finally that speed bump's gone or something, but I could have sworn they said something's gotta be done about that. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, you're here now. Are you gonna take over?
Oh, no, go ahead. You're doing fine, I'm sure.
Old pro.
So next, we have, so everybody has updates. We need to approve the minutes, sign the warrants, and then move on to the meeting. So in the meantime, we could talk about the minutes while we're starting signing them.
I found nothing.
I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines, but it's only one word. Co-op has to have a hyphen.
I agree. Where is that?
Lines 43. You better write just the list down. Yeah, 43.
Yeah.
47, 52, 81,
56, 52.
43, 47, 52, 81, 82, 90, 92, and 107. Co-op has a hyphen between, it's CO hyphen OP.
Okay.
That's the official spelling of co-op.
Yeah.
But that's the only one I found. Most people do exactly what was there, but that's not correct.
Okay.
So we need a motion to accept the minutes with corrections as noted.
Make a motion to accept the minutes with corrections as noted.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
I, you sign the warnings, Kim.
Oh, I will sign the warrants if somebody wants to take us into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for reason for. Exposure of the information will be detrimental to the parties involved for reasons of personnel and legal.
Lynn.
And I'd like to invite Paula Holstein. Holstein.
I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Good night, everyone.
From Vision.
No.